Keeping this inward feeling, listen to these words of Swamiji on courage. This is from Affirmations for Self-Healing. There's a fourth kind of courage, not human but divine. Divine courage comes from living in the awareness of God's presence within and in the realization that He is the sole reality. Live more in Him, for nothing and no one can touch what you really are. And let's affirm together, I live protected by God's infinite light.
I live protected by God's infinite light.
So long as I remain in the heart of it.
So long as I remain in the heart of it.
Nothing and no one can harm me.
Nothing and no one can harm me.
I live protected by God's infinite light.
I live protected by God's infinite light.
So long as I remain in the heart of it.
So long as I remain in the heart of it.
Nothing and no one can harm me.
Nothing and no one can harm me.
A little more quietly. I live protected by God's infinite light.
I live protected by God's infinite light.
So long as I remain in the heart of it.
So long as I remain in the heart of it.
Nothing and no one can harm me.
Nothing and no one can harm me.
And now in a whisper, I live protected by God's infinite light.
I live protected by God's infinite light.
So long as I remain in the heart of it. Nothing and no one can harm me. Now silently, with deep attention at the spiritual eye, I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. I live protected by God's infinite light. So long as I remain in the heart of it, nothing and no one can harm me. Let's pray silently together. I look to Thee for my strength, Lord. Hold me closely in Thy arms of love. Then, whatever happens in my life, I shall accept with joy. Om Shanti Shanti. Amen.
So once again, happy Diwali to everyone, and those that are online, we wish you a happy Diwali as well. From Whispers from Eternity by Paramahansa Ananda, entitled, Demand to Set Fire to the Forest of Darkness. I built a fire of devotion in the dark forest of delusion. Alas, the fire only smoldered. Then thou didst come and set fire to a few of my frailties. That fire quickly spread, consuming the bushes of prickly desires, my tall, towering vanities, and the thick underbrush of my arrogance. The whole forest of my darkness is blazing, and I behold only thy light shining everywhere. I thank thee, Father, for thy help. Help me thus always. Let me open a path of light for all to follow. Well, Diwali, the Festival of Light, comes at a perfect time. As we will know, with all the turmoil that's happening in this world, but we can be comforted by the great Saint Ananda Ma's words when she was asked by a disciple that was obviously concerned about the world situation. And she said, don't you think that God who created this world can maintain it? And that brings again home the thought, as the yogis declare, that it is only a dream. And yet here we are as divine beings, that's the true reality, but also playing this human role. We feel this ache for all of those that are suffering, because really there would not be any need, as Ananda Ma said, if everyone would meditate, all wars would cease instantly. And so with the Festival of Light, Diwali, it's a very, very, very auspicious time to do what we can, because we're fortunate to be aware of our inner life, as most people are not. If they were, there wouldn't be all this turmoil. Wouldn't be all this thought of separation. There would be this understanding and growing realization that we are all one. And so it's really our responsibility not only to grow this light within ourselves, but also to conscientiously, as often as we can remember, many times during the day, and especially during these troubled times, to send out that light, because it makes a big difference. As Yogananda said, prayer is just like electricity. It has a true power. It's not anything that we're imagining that perhaps someone will be helped by our gust of prayer. They are helped, and that's why Yogananda said even restless prayers help a little. So even a little bit of restless prayer while we're thinking about this or that, whatever it might be, we're not there with our full concentration, even that helps. That's how powerful prayer is, and that's why Yogananda said, little do people know what radical changes are possible through prayer. And so with this Festival of Light, it really is the kickoff, as Yogananda said, that in time, India and America would lead the world. America with its efficiency, material efficiency, and far greater India with the spirituality. And so with the kickoff of Diwali, that then blends into Thanksgiving, which was near and dear to Yogananda's heart, the celebration, the holiday in America, and becoming perhaps more worldwide. Christmas, the birth of Christ, going into the new year, and then Yogananda's birthday, January 5th. This very, very concentrated time is perfect for us to really create an inner earthquake, which is, to be said, a positive inner earthquake, to go into this new year with real vigor, enthusiasm, determination, joy especially, giving everything that we can, all of the thoughts, the feelings, the activities of this year, how much we've experienced in 2023. And 2024 can be very, very, very much aided by this thrust now, beginning with Diwali right on through, so that we have a running start with 2024, because God knows 2024, it looks like, is going to need a lot of help too, unless there's some miracle all of a sudden. Everything is made silent and quiet and joyful and loving. But just in case the angels don't all appear and create, the peace that we're all yearning for, and we have to go through the purification all the more, then we need to accept that. But know that really, though on a human level, it appears to be very real, on a divine level where we live in meditation, in our seva, then it's only a dream, but we need to uphold this dream in the light. There's a beautiful story perhaps you've heard of. I remember when I first read it, I was just stunned by it. And it really is a story of a miracle that took place during World War I, where the Germans and the US troops were fighting, and it was Christmas Eve. And all of a sudden, there must have been angels that orchestrated this miracle. All of a sudden, there was a truce. And out of the trenches, I mean, it's just hard to believe that this could have occurred, but it did. Out of the trenches, the Germans, the Americans, others came out and began sharing from their knapsacks, the bar of chocolate that they had been, perhaps holding on to for Christmas itself, and back and forth, sharing all these gifts, showing photos of their family. And the officers were just stunned and didn't know what to do, because this was something that had, of course, never occurred, maybe will never occur again, I don't know. And the love, the unconditional love that came from these soldiers that were just killing each other, even moments before, something happened. And of course, this was an unforgettable experience for them all. Well, that's what we can do when we still our minds and still our hearts. When we go back into the light, back into samadhi, what will be our experience? We've had this experience, we've come down from it, we're playing in this lila, we're going back into the light. When we go into that state of nirvikalpa samadhi, as described by the saints, the body is absolutely rigid and still. The heart even stopped temporarily, the breath, the mind, and into the light, this very blessed soul goes. And again, why is India the guru of the world? Because this experience of samadhi has occurred again and again and again, currently and of course over the centuries, which charges this country with such spiritual power that there's no way that these blessings can be contained by the boundaries of India, and of course they're not. They flood the entire world. And so Diwali is a time, the festival of light, to remember the blessing of what we have and where we're going. And it all leads to inner stillness. And as we are flooding ourselves with this light and offering this light, know that it comes from that stillness of the soul. And that stillness is joy. And that stillness is unconditional love. And that stillness is us. It's something that I shared some satsangs ago, that Yogananda was in samadhi in the desert in Southern California. He came out of this high state of superconsciousness. And what did he say? He said, stillness is God. And so if again, this world were still, then there wouldn't be all these misunderstandings. As they say, the gurus get along, the disciples fight, because they think, you're on the wrong course. You have the wrong path. You should follow what I'm doing. What is that all about? Swami Kriyananda, sometimes he was asked, you're speaking to the Yogananda so often, what is this? Is this perhaps a narrow vision? Of course not. He said, something, I'm not here to convert you to this path. I'm here only to convert you to your own self. And so when he was in Australia, a man raised his hand. This was time for questions and answers after Swami's lecture. It was a large crowd. And he said, and this was a challenge from this man, I'm an atheist. How can you help me? Figuring that Swami would say, well, maybe we could talk after this. Kind of stopped my mind at the moment. There wasn't a moment of hesitation. What he said is, think of your own highest potential. And this man, I think from that point on, his atheism began to drift, because that was something he could understand. And what was his comment when Swami said, think of your own highest potential? The man said, I can live with that. Because everyone understands on a soul level. Diwali and these great high holidays reminds us of that we have a high purpose. We've come to this earth for a reason. We sometimes forget it, smriti. That's why smriti is so important. We have come to find God and to remember, as it says in the Bible, ye too are gods. That wasn't put in as an affirmation to hearten us and to encourage us. That's a fact from Christ. Ye too are gods. And he said, don't your own scriptures say, ye too are gods, when the Pharisees were getting after him, when Christ said, I and my Father are one. They were not happy with that statement. What is this? But he said, what are you thinking? Ye too are gods. And they had to go away and think about that, perhaps. I hope that they did. And so with this string of holidays, one after another, it's like the passing of the baton in the Olympics, that we can, the more we can be conscious of these blessings, we can go into this experience with real enthusiasm, with growing dedication, to find ways to simplify our lives. The reason that the world is in such turmoil is because people have complicated their lives. They've gotten confused. Yogananda said that some are suffering from spiritual indigestion. And I know in the early years that was certainly the case for me. So I have a lot of compassion for that. And so whether they're suffering from spiritual indigestion or just indigestion, somehow, some way, they're not understanding what's really happening. And all they would have to do is to look, really look, and see the beauty in this world, whether it's through nature, through children, whatever it might be. And they would be stopped in their tracks. And they would have to introspect and reevaluate their lives. Again, that's what January 1st is all about. We should have a January 1st every day because introspection is really a very important part of the path. Be the jnani, be in the watchful state, always trying to find ways to improve, but in a way that's relaxed, in a way that is filled with humor and with growing understanding, appreciation, thankfulness. That, again, as Nandamoy Ma said, God who has created this world knows how to take care of it. God who has created us knows how to take care of us. And sometimes we wonder if he's on not on a honeymoon, holiday, in some kind of a holiday when we're going through tests, perhaps tests that last a little longer than we care for them to last. There's no way that God is taking a holiday. It's just not going to happen ever. God is always present. And I don't know about you, but in the early years in my life, way back when, I was, for a while, it didn't last too long, thankfully, I was upset with God because I had the understanding that he was beyond it all in that bliss. And I certainly, was filled with deep inspiration that that's God. God is beyond it all. But I didn't think he was participating in all this that we were experiencing. And so I was a little mad at God. And instead of this gesture, which I should have had, it was this gesture. That was the experience that I was having, obviously wrong attitude, and no way that I was understanding what was really going on. But God is beyond it all in that bliss. And that's where we live too, on a soul level, and then participating in every nuance. So every thought and every feeling and everything that we're experiencing, that's Divine Mother through us. And she is a perfect actress, perfect. She never misses anything, whether she's acting through us as a fool or she's acting through us in a more saintly manner. It's her. And when we wake up from this dream, when we are in that light, we are now, but when we realize it, we'll see, my goodness, it was true. She was doing everything. Absolutely everything. It's a stunning thought and one to really meditate on because it opens the heart and gives us this deep appreciation of really, it is a dream. But within the dream, we have to act our part. Because if we act the part of more of a saintly soul, then that joy comes to us because we're acting more and more as a pure instrument. If we go around causing trouble, well, we're going to be the unhappy recipient of that. And the heart will shut down and the mind will go negative, all of those things. So Yogananda reminded us, if you want to be happy, make good choices. And if this world, if the people are billions of brothers and sisters, we're making good choices, every moment is a crossroads. Do we go and spend time in the positive light? Or do we go and drown in all the craziness of the darkness? And for us, it's a continuous effort. And a lot of times we think, I've worked hard enough, it's time for the reward. I feel a little bit of bliss. Let this be permanent. And it will in time be just that. But in the meantime, we have to be good sports. And Diwali and all these high holidays in this season reminds us just of that. Be thankful. Count your blessings and skip the rest. Be thankful for all that we've been given because we've been given so many blessings. Roma, in a recent seclusion, shared that she was writing down all the blessings, and she was, filling up the piece of paper. I don't know how many pages she wrote, but that could be our experience and is our experience, whether we're writing down these blessings or just acknowledging them, that Divine Mother has given to us abundance on every single level, and especially that abundance of growing wisdom, growing love, growing joy. The fruit of meditation is joy. And the more we feel that joy, the more, it just doesn't really matter. If Divine Mother is creating excitement in our lives and we're being challenged or whatever it might be, when that joy, God is joy and joy is God, when that joy comes, that's reality. That's where we want to live. And so now in this season, as we're passing the baton from Diwali to Thanksgiving, to Christmas, to New Year's, and to Master's birthday, let us keep in mind that these blessings are reminding us of Yogananda's state and the state of all the saints. He said, now my life has become an unbroken inspiration. Now that's something to embrace. An unbroken inspiration. Could it be true? Is that really the experience of the saints? We know it's the case. We know it's the truth. And we know that we are marching into that light, actually fairly quickly compared to all the incarnations we've had. That's why I like to consider that all of us, now that we've discovered the inner life, are at base camp. That took a long time to get to this point. And now we're looking up at the Himalayas and thinking, oh my gosh, this is a steep climb. But all along, to get to base camp, who did we have? We had help. God's the guru. God has helped us in so many ways, through books and through friends and, of course, through the saints. Now, as we begin this steep climb, is God and gurus going to say, well, we got you to base camp, good luck. It's a slippery slope. Look out for the avalanche. No. This is especially when, because they know how high the stakes are, because the Maya is thinking, uh-oh, they got to base camp. I must have been asleep at the wheel. How did that happen? I was testing them, and nevertheless, they got to this plateau, this dynamic plateau where they've discovered the inner life. They know who they are and they know where they're going. And now they're having the courage. That's why this was the perfect affirmation for today. The courage to begin that climb which we are. And we lock arms together. That's the joy of spiritual family. And we begin this process, knowing that the Guru is not only by our side, but within our hearts. How can we fail? Impossible. Absolutely impossible, because we're children of God. We're just going back into the light from where we came. And so, happy Diwali to you all. And let's continue as we finish off this year, go into the new year, to remember the Festival of Light. And know that this light is within us at all times. Test it and see. You'll see that that spark of light is always there. And for us, we need to make a bonfire of yearning for God and Guru's presence, a bonfire of this desire to do what we can to help others, because many, many, many are suffering needlessly. And if we, whether it's on the street, at home, people that are there at work, we just send them a ray of light, smile, can make a big difference, as we well know, because we're very often the happier recipients of this generous spirit, because Divine Mother always, in so many different ways, is doing everything that she can to lift our spirits and to remind us of who we are as children of God. So let us stand. We'll have our...
We're going to listen to a song.
We're going to listen to a song first, okay.
So Swamiji has written beautiful music, as we all have heard. And one of the songs that he wrote is called Thy Light Within Us Shining, and in honor of the Festival of Light today, Diwali. We want to have you hear it. And at the end of most of our talks and most of our satsangs and a lot of events at Ananda village and all over the world, we close with this song because it's, as Haridas was saying, it's that prayer is electric, and so is music, and so are vibrations. It's electric. And when you can hear these words and say these words and sing these words, it changes the vibration of your environment. It really does. I would encourage you to listen to Swami's music on the internet and anywhere you can find it, because it really does change consciousness. It's a spiritual vibration. It's not intellectual. It goes right into the heart, and it helps to raise the consciousness in this world. If you have children, if you have a family, when they listen to this song, these songs, you don't have to say one word of preaching to them. Their vibration will automatically be lifted and they'll be in their heart, which is what we want, because when we're in our hearts, then we feel Divine Mother's love and we understand what she told us, that she is our mother throughout all of eternity, and we are her children. So these are the words to the song. Thy light within us shining has shown where freedom lies, from earthly walls confining to soar in spirit skies. How oft like sheep we've strayed apart, now guided by thy ray, in inner freedom of the heart, our night has turned to day. And so Katyani's gonna play that song for us. It's our choir singing. Now let's close our satsang with a healing prayer. Include all those in need all over the world, all of those on our healing prayer lists, all those in war-torn countries, all of the fathers and mothers and aunts and uncles, grandparents, children that are needing prayers in this moment. Bless our families. Bless this world with peace, harmony, unconditional love. Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
thou art omnipresent.
thou art omnipresent.
Thou art in all thy children.
Thou art in all thy children.
Thou art in all this world.
Thou art in all this world.
Manifest thy healing presence.
Manifest thy healing presence.
In all bodies.
In all bodies.
In all minds.
In all minds.
And in all souls.
In all souls.